Hey everybody, this is Ian Jacklin. I'm here today with Dr. Robert O. Young. A couple of PhDs and a few other letters going behind his name. His reputation kind of speaks for itself. He's my go-to guy, and for many of you that know, I've been doing this for 30 years now. And I started off with Dr. Bernardo, who taught the alkaline system. I was a big fan of Dr. Sebi, who basically taught the alkaline system. And then I met the master, Dr. Robert O. Young, who finally explained to me why the alkaline system works. And we haven't had a conversation in quite some time, so it's great to catch up with you again, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. You're looking well, Ian. It's always a pleasure talking with you and finding what you're doing and I know that you're you know a guru in the martial arts area, if I'm saying that correctly, and of course your background in some of the martial art movies that you've worked in. So how's the training going? Are you still up to doing the training?
Yeah, I'm still training and I still do the alkaline diet. I have no arthritis anymore. For some of my people know, I had an interesting ride through life from kickboxing champion, movie star to dealing with life's issues, and a lot of those issues came back to me physically because the kickboxing is a brutal sport. I've had one hip replacement, and I'm close to having to get a second one, although I'm going to look into the stem cell treatments. I've got the stem cells for my shoulders, and they worked. My shoulders were falling out of the sockets, and I got some stem cell down in Tijuana at Holistic Care, it's called. And my shoulders, I'm working out again. I'm strong as ever. And thanks to the alkaline diet, my arthritis went away. Because for those that don't know, arthritis is just acidosis. Remember, there's one disease, one cure. The disease is acidosis. The cure is alkalinity. So the four salts are one of my favorite go-to things. Basically, baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, the bicarbonates to battle that acidosis. Almost vegan, 80% of the time, pretty much vegan, because we want to cut out the meat, dairy, sugar that's acidic. Yeah, and just a lot of the Peach Miracle supplements have really helped me on my path, which is good because I couldn't even, walk. My 20s were so good as a kickboxing champion and a movie star in Hollywood. My 30s and 40s, I barely made through. I could barely walk. I mean, it was just pain, suffering. And it all came down to acidosis, which, who would have guessed? But I do believe I've
Mhm.
cleared up my own prostate issues. Probably was like maybe early stage prostate cancer. I had skin cancer, cured all that with the pH Miracle. So yeah, big
So you're a walking testimony,
yes,
testimonial. I mean, literally.
yeah. I
Um,
practice what I preach.
you mentioned pain. Of course, pain is inflammation, and there's only one word for pain, and it's a four-letter word, and it's spelled ACID. So it's yeah, you reduce the level of poisons in your body. And one of the things that I'm saying now, just to simplify it, is there are no diseases. There are no new diseases, and there are no viruses. What there is you're not sick, you're being poisoned, chemically poisoned with what you eat, what you drink, what you breathe, what you feel, what you think, the technology we're exposed to. So, chemical and radiation poisoning is creating all of these symptoms and the millions and millions of excess mortality, excess deaths that began with the launch of the depopulation program. And of course that's been going on forever. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we declare wars, is to reduce the surplus population. But from the elite's perspective, population is out of control. This is a way to control it, and why not have another pandemic? And so that's what we've been doing with, and of course now they're going to make up another non-purified, isolated virus, and blame it on some bird, when what we're dealing with is not a bird flu. We're dealing with radiation and chemical poisoning. So you're not sick. You don't have a new disease. There are no any new diseases. There's only one sickness and one disease, and that's the overacidification of the blood and then interstitial fluids due to a perverted way of living, eating, thinking, breathing, feeling, believing. Once you bring those back, when you come back to nature, you come back to, the plan of salvation. This is what will extend the quality and quantity of your life. And so I've been involved in helping folks around the world through a process of not medication, but through education, empowering people so they know how to take care of their bodies. It's very, very simple, very, very simple to do that. You become your own practitioner. You become your own teacher. It's about education, not medication. It's about education, not vaccination. It's not about disease. And you've probably heard me say this before, that there are no specific diseases. There's just specific symptomologies. So you express some of those symptomologies, such as an enlarged prostate or a cancer condition, or you mentioned a disease diagnosis of melanoma. You mentioned hip pain, a hip replacement. All of this is a result of systemic chemical radiation poisoning. And the way that you track that is simple. You can track your overall health by testing your body ocean, your internal fluid, your body ocean. What is the body ocean? The body ocean is called the interstitium, and it contains a fluid. That fluid is called interstitial fluid, and it's 80% of your extracellular fluids. Plasma is only 20%. So you're talking about blood. I did a blood test. No, you have to do an interstitial fluid test. That's 80% of those extracellular fluids. That's where all sickness and dis-ease begins, is in the organ of the interstitium in the body ocean. So you look behind me, you see an ocean, right? You see a beach. You see the water. We know that there is an environment inside that body. There are fish that are living there. There's whales, there's dolphins, there's plant life. All of that exists because of its environment, is at a pH of 8.3 to 8.4, at a reduction, which is oxidative reduction potential, which is talking about its electron concentration at negative 80 millivolts. What's the beauty about that? It's identical to your own body ocean, the interstitial fluid. And that interstitial fluid is the fluid that surrounds your fish, which we call body cells. So your body cells are like fish in the ocean. If the pH of the ocean goes below 8, everything dies. If the pH of your ocean, particularly the blood, if it goes below 7, ideally 7.365, you go into a coma and you die. So managing and maintaining the alkaline design of the body fluids and realizing that all functionality of every organ system, every gland, every tissue, every body cell needs electrical energy, to function. And if it produces in that function acidic waste products, if not properly eliminated through the 5 channels of elimination, which is urination, defecation, perspiration, respiration, and for women, menstruation. Those acids burn, they cause irritation, they cause sensitivities, they cause all of the diseases that we put names on as if they are something. They're only symptomologies of waste product chemical poisons that have not been eliminated. So if you manage to maintain the alkaline design of the body fluids, easy way to do that. All you do is you take, these pH strips, and the range is very important, 4.5 to 9. And there's a color scale here. And you want to be up in these levels here, up into the dark greens, you see. So there's strips. phmiracleproducts.com sells these strips, and you use these strips not for testing water, but for testing urine. That's what they're designed for. So the reagents in these are activated with urine. And what is urine? Urine is a product of the interstitial fluid. Once again, what is the interstitial fluid? It is the body ocean that surrounds all your cells, all your fish. The body cells are surrounded with fluid. And that fluid ideally should be at a pH of 8.4. That's why you need a range between 4.5 and 9. Most people are in the lower ranges, in the 5s and 6s. Okay, these higher numbers is where you should be, in the 8s and 9s, especially if you're repairing. It takes place at a higher pH and a reduced energy at negative 110 to 120 versus 80. The body needs alkalinity in order to continue to replace itself. There was a scientist by the name of Alexis Carrel, and he received a Nobel Prize for being able to keep organs alive for an indefinite period of time. And he was the scientist that really discovered how to maintain organs for modern day transplantations, to keep them alive so they could be transplanted into another human. And the way you do that is you manage the fluid. And that's how you stay alive. You stay alive by the most important fluid is the interstitial fluid. It's the body ocean. If you want to have healthy cells, you have to maintain an alkalinity at 8.4 at negative 80 millivolts. So this is all measurable. It can all be quantified. This is not subjective. This is objective. We know specifically what the energy field should be at and what the pH is. And you measure it simply by doing this on a daily basis. Now, most people don't know this, but the most acidic time of the day is between 3 a.m. in the morning and about noon. So when you wake up in the morning, your first morning urine, second, are going to be the most acidic, where in the afternoon, call it the alkaline flood, you have more alkalinity. And that runs from 3 p.m. up to about midnight. So there's ebbs and tides of pH, but you never want to drop in your urine pH less than 7.2, and ideally it should never drop below 8. The ideal pH of the urine is 8.4 to 9 at negative 80 to 110 to 120 millivolts. People aren't living like this because they don't understand the internal environment of their body. So this is why it's important to understand that you need to test this daily, just as if you were taking care of a swimming pool and its pH, or, a saltwater aquarium. Your body is a saltwater aquarium. Your fish are your cells, blood cells, body cells. And to maintain the alkaline design of the body fluids, you have to be proactive. One of the things, Ian, that most people don't know, and it's not taught at any level in our educational system, not even in graduate school or to medical doctors or PhDs, and that is the stomach is not an organ of digestion. Did you know that? It
Well,
doesn't
thanks to you,
digest
yeah,
food.
yeah, you taught me.
This, yeah, the stomach is an organ of contribution. And you know what it makes every day of your life?
Sodium
Baking
bicarbonate,
soda,
yeah, baking soda.
sodium bicarbonate, NaHCO3. But for every molecule of baking soda it makes to alkalize your vascular fluids and your interstitial fluids and your intracellular fluids, it is the stomach that produces that compound of sodium and potassium bicarbonate. It'll take potassium, it will take magnesium, it will take sodium, and it'll produce a bicarbonate to maintain alkalinity. That's why when you take bicarbonates, your pain disappears. And the reason it disappears is because it's neutralizing the poison that causes pain. Pain is caused by poison. And poison is in our food, our water, our air, our supplements, for example, they put hydrochloric acid in just about everything. They put vinegar in everything. These are biological ferments, acids that are poisons. And then we find out we're finding them like formaldehyde's a poison. Everybody knows that. Sodium cyanide is also a poison. But guess where those are found? In a medical treatment called EDTA. So you think you're getting rid of lead while you're being poisoned. That's the same thing they're doing with water. They're trying to take out microplastics, and they're doing it with graphene. So you ended up with a cytotoxic, genotoxic, magnetic toxic element of graphene oxide to take out micro or nanoplastics, and you end up with something more toxic.
Right.
Graphene, which is indestructible, by the way. So this is why, you need to first understand the problem so you can create a solution to the problem. If people have an abundance of hydrochloric acid and they start taking, acids to minimize the hydrochloric acid, the question is not how I neutralize that hydrochloric acid. The better question is, why am I producing so much hydrochloric acid? And the answer is because you're producing a lot of metabolic and dietary acids from what you eat, what you drink, and what you breathe. Because the stomach's main purpose is to manage and maintain the alkaline design of all the fluids. And so it takes salt, it takes water, it takes carbon dioxide, and it creates in the stomach lining, it creates baking soda, and that either alkalizes your food or it alkalizes your blood and interstitial fluids and intracellular fluids. So the stomach is at the forefront of managing and maintaining the alkaline design of the body fluids. And the cells are only as healthy as that alkaline, as you are managing that alkaline design. And if you're in the 5s and 6s, you're in an environment that's not conducive for health. And so you're going to have sensitivities. You may have low energy, sensitivities, irritation, inflammation. That goes into induration, which is solidification of those acids, which create all stones, to ulcerations. Now you have lesions, and now you've been diagnosed with cancer. Cancer is not a disease. There's nothing new about cancer. Cancer is a chemical disease of the fluids that then causes cells to begin to break down. So a cancer cell is a poison cell. It's a cell that's reversed its polarity. It's breaking down. What causes cancers? Excuse me, poisons. So you're not sick, you've been poisoned. You can measure it, test the urine. Your stomach's at the forefront to help you. If you have an acid stomach, it's because your body needs salt, water, and exercise. What does exercise do? It produces CO2. CO2, 90% of that CO2 is used by the stomach to produce what? Sodium bicarbonate. To neutralize what? The lactic acid that you're producing during your exercise. So you need salt, not sugar. You need water, functionally structured alkaline water at a pH of at least 9.5, ideally between 10 and 11, at a negative 450 millivolts or higher. And you need carbon dioxide. And those three elements are the elements, those compounds are the elements that you put into the body. Salt, water, CO2, carbon dioxide will save your life. You want to get rid of the hydrochloric acid. You want to get rid of the vinegar. You want to get rid of fermented foods, kefir, and all these other, god-awful, spoiled, rotten, putrefied products that they say they're good for you, and anything that has HCl attached to it. And you'll see this on the label of just about all legend nutraceuticals and pharmaceuticals. They use it as a preservative. Another one is citric acid. It's a poison. And I know people are getting IVs of maybe buffered forms of citric acid, but that doesn't work either. So once you realize that cancer is not a disease of the cells, it's a disease of the fluids of the body, and I say disease, it's chemical poisoning. The two chemicals, main ones, actually there are three, that cause cancer: hydrochloric acid, right, causes stomach and gastrointestinal cancers, lactic acid, and citric acid. Those are the three major poisons that lead to degenerative disease. And I've even stopped using the word diet because it has the word die in it. Change that word, and in place I've put live it. So you want to get off your diet because it's killing you, it's poisoning you, and get on a live it. And a live it is an alkalarian lifestyle. And people say, what's an alkalarian? An alkalarian eats food that donate electrons. That's how simple it is. Meat does not donate electrons. It steals energy from your body. Eggs do not donate electrons. It is an electron scavenger. So foods that donate electrons are foods that are full of light. Light is what we are. We are a biofield with a body, not a body with a biofield. So light converts to electrical energy, the electron, and that's what our cells run on. Our cells do not run on carbohydrates, they do not run on proteins, and they don't run on fats. They run on electrons, and those electrons are contained and produced in the red blood cell in the chlorophyll molecule. Those are the electron factories, the light factories. They convert light into electrical energy, and that is then transported on a beautiful matrix of sodium ions. Another reason why you need no sugar, you need salt. In fact, sugar is a waste product of putrefaction, of rotting. So people aren't getting old, they're mold, they're rotting, they're fermenting. You can actually smell that on older people. If you want to clean up the internal environment, you have to do that with products that donate electrons, products, even nutritional supplements that will donate light molecules. Chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the light molecule. It is the light carrier. And our factory for transforming light into electrical energy, which is like brothers and sisters, chlorophyll and hemoglobin are identical. So when you build your muscle, not with other proteins, you build muscle and strength through a plant-based, high chlorophyll content with wonderful polyunsaturated oils that will help build the foundational stem cell which is called the erythroblast, which takes place, most people don't know this, in the crypts of the small intestine. That's where blood is made. Blood health is important. I just was looking at a report, and I was looking at hemoglobin. Here I'm seeing a male 60 who has hemoglobin at 12.3. I mean, you can't sustain life at 12.3. I mean, Lance Armstrong, you know, hemoglobin count is up in the 17s or 18s. That's an athlete. I mean, he was blood doping, but you can do it legally. Just eat more greens, drink more green juices, eat more avocados. And so, people will say, well, what did you eat for breakfast? And today I had an avocado sandwich with cucumber and avocado and salt. You see, I mean, you can put that on a whole grain piece of bread that's yeast free, sprouted, whole grain, sprouted. It's a live food. You add the avocado. You add, if you want, you can add some salt or seasoning to it. I always like to add salt. I add cucumbers, and this is what I had for breakfast.
And when you say salt,
what I'll
should probably clarify, you don't mean white table salt, right? You mean like pink Himalayan salt?
any whole salt that hasn't been processed, that is absent of any sort of aluminum oxide or any type of chemical that would poison the salt. It's not natural. But the salts I like are sea salts. I like marine salts and I like sea salts, particularly the North Shore sea salt of the Great Salt Lake. It's free of graphene. It's free of deuterium. Deuterium, of course, is cutting our life expectancy for aging. It's cutting it in half. So if you get rid of the deuterium, and of course, there is a way to get rid of deuterium and some of these pollutants that I've talked about. How do you get rid of lactic acid, graphene, fluoride, deuterium? Deuterium is high in ocean water. It's 155 to 160 parts per million. That's why surfers are in the water all the time, age faster than those who aren't surfers. The aging process, you see, an old surfer, you say, well, how old are you? 45, 50, and they look like they're 65 to 70. Literally destroys their life, the ocean, because of the pollutants that are in that water. And one of those pollutants, which is a well-kept secret, is deuterium. And so this is being added to the waters, including graphene. They say, well, yeah, we have to take the microplastics out. So but here again, well-kept secrets of chemical poisoning. It's called gain of function. How do we kill people? How do we reduce the surplus population of useless eaters? How do we control this? And they control it through everything. What we eat, what we drink, what we breathe. You see, through our, our belief systems. It affects us on an emotional level, physical level, fear mongering, all this other stuff that creates excess acidity, loss, fear of loss. And so it's not just physical, it's also emotional. So we really have to be aware that the most important thing that we need to do to help us, besides testing our urine, we need to also start drinking purified, ionized, alkalized, functionally structured water. And you cannot take graphene or deuterium out through distillation. Sorry, folks, doesn't come out. So in under knowing that, how do you get graphene out of the body? If it's either been vaxxed into you or you've taken it through aerosol or through some sort of medication, because it's in everything. How do I get rid of deuterium? That's where MasterPeace comes in. MasterPeace is the solution to the pollutions. And we have other solutions to pollutions besides MasterPeace, which is a colloid of zeolite. Zeolite colloidalized in sea plasma at a pH of 8.4 at negative 80 millivolts. Remember what I said about interstitial fluid? 8.4, negative 80 millivolts, the perfect supplement, the perfect antidote for chelating, caging, collecting, adsorbing, and then absorbing these micro and millimicron, micron and millimicron or nano particulates that, you know, size-wise goes all the way down to the size of an atom, 1 nanometer, and subatomic, less than 1 nanometer. How does that collect? You have to have a material that is an opposite polarity of the poison. Poison's surface charge is positive. The nanocolloidal hexagonal zeolite, okay, multi-stage, so it actually is like a cage, like Story's multi-dimensional. It can adsorb, attract these poisons, the deuterium, the graphene, the fluoride, glyphosate, the polyethylene glycol, the hydrogel, you know, the microplastics, the nanoplastics, PFOS, PFOA, the polypropylenes, all of the synthetic materials that we're exposed to, all the plastics that we're exposed to, it cages all that. You know, the beauty of this, all you have to do is take 5 drops of it under your tongue twice a day. And that's based on a man or a woman who weighs 70 kilos or 154 pounds. So you either go up or down. And the way you take it is not more, you take it less more often. So if you're in the 200 plus, you would take MasterPeace 3 times a day, 5 drops, rather than twice a day.
Wow. And you guys have done studies already, right? Before and after?
Yeah, I can show you some of those studies. I just go here to my let me bring this up
And this is
and
adding,
share the screen with you if I may, so you
yeah.
can see this.
You already had a pretty good protocol going for the nanoparticles already with the French green
Yeah,
clay.
that's with the French Montmorillonite clay, the green clay from Montmorillon, France. And yes, it's a good thing. So when we're talking about some of the things that will help chelate, adsorb, and absorb, we can come down to in my presentation. I have 122 slides. I'm not going to show them all to you. Just show you the ones that we're talking about here because I want you to see this the graphene, the zeolite. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me go
Yep.
ahead and
Yep.
just go to slideshow, and we'll go from current slide. Can you see that?
Yes. Very
Okay,
well.
so MasterPeace now colloidal hexagonal construct of colloidal zeolite and marine plasma at a pH of what? Remember, 8.4 at negative 80 millivolts. This is what it looks like. It's hexagonal construct, okay? It's multidimensional. This is what it looks like, multidimensional. So just like a magnet, the negative polarity, it attracts acids, toxins, which are positively charged, and it pulls it into this cage. They are then demagnetized. They are connected, demagnetized. And since zeolite is undigestible, it then removes it out through urination, perspiration, or defecation. Some cases, respiration. So that's what that looks like. This is what positive charged graphene looks like. This is my scale at 100 nanometers. And here you see the negative surface charge of colloidal zeolite Z. That's the patent name, zeolite Z. And here you see the positive surface charge nanocolloidal graphene oxide. And this is also true with deuterium. So it attracts. You can actually see on top of this bacterial rods. So all this will be collected because of surface charge into this multi-stage cage, and it doesn't get out. Once it's connected, it's connected, and the body, of course, can then get rid of it through the various elimination organs: urination, defecation, perspiration, respiration, and of course, for women, menstruation. So I call this a natural antidote for the inactivation and removal of graphene oxide, ferric oxide, aluminum oxide, hydrogel, trypanochromic cruciate parasites found in the blood, the interstitial fluid, saliva, urine, sweat. I found it in everyone, in everything.
Wow, it's a great name, Master, because
it's a master antidote. So when we did our study, this was client 1. After 35 days, you can see the original was very high at 509.5 nanomillimoles per liter. And then we added this perfluoro octane sulfonic acid, PFOS, and then perfluoro octanic acid, PFOA. You'll see the numbers here, 331, 442. You'll see polypropylene. This, of course, was in the inoculations. They use this quite a bit. It's called PEG, polyethylene glycol, polypropylene, PPP, or polyethylene, I should say, PEPP. And you can see that when you come across, we took aluminum, we have glyphosate, there's the graphene oxide, 131 from 509. That's over a 70% reduction in 35 days of the graphene oxide. If we look at PFOA or PF 176, this was PFOA was 442. So yes, it's dealing with forever chemicals. When we look at phosgene, phosgene is a byproduct of vilinidine dichloride. When it's burnt, turns to phosgene. This is a poison. It's a neuro agent. It's restricted by international law. This, of course, is showing up in the blood of everyone because they're burning off this stuff. One example was the train wreck at East Jerusalem. They burned off tens of thousands of gallons of vilinidine dichloride that created a plume of phosgene. And it's interesting, it happened over, the Pennsylvania area. So, we know that there are those who live there that want to be natural. The people up there want to live in nature and live off the land. And of course, their land is being polluted. And this was one of the things that we picked up was phosgene. You can see on polyethylene PPP was 235, dropped down to 188. Here on polyethylene glycol was 223, dropped down to 195. But overall, across the board, we saw a reduction in over 10 poisons that were found in the blood interstitial fluid that were significantly dropped. And that was, of course, just the one client. And of course, we then looked at this from 90 days later. So from 559, you see after 90 days, it dropped down to 38.62, which is over a 90% drop. Wow. Graphene, that's aluminum. So aluminum, if we go back up here, Let's take a look at it. This is client 2, excuse me. Graphene was 203. Graphene here was 206. Okay, so there was no drop in the first 35 days. We saw drops in PFOS from 446 to 247. You have to remember that you're being transfected every single day with what you eat, what you drink, and what you breathe. So we took this to a 90-day point. Remember this number, this graphene, 203. And if we look then on the second 90 days later, it dropped down to 65. So it took 90 days to get rid of over 70% of the graphene, getting it down in the tolerable range. So this is something that you take daily, costs less than $1 a day, and pretty much as long as these bad actors are continually poisoning us, poisoning our food, our water, and our air, the cabal or committee of 300 or the elite, however you want to call them, here we see after 90 days on case number 3, 509, 225. And that was client, let's see, client 3. Yeah, 509 after 35 days. Graphene oxide, 225, over a 50% drop. Phosgene was not, we didn't take that the first time. We took it the second time, so we have to look at 90 days. Keep phosgene, 6239, 76, so still exposure there. This is after 90 days. When we look at graphene, 148, what was it originally? 148 graphene oxide, 509. Graphene is the material that provides the platform for connecting people up to the Internet of Things.
5G.
So it's what the biosensors are, self-assembled biosensors. And of course, I have pictures of those that I can show you if you want to see some self-assembled biosensors. We can come back up here.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand what happened with the scamdemic, that they actually turned on 5G. That's what made everybody sick. They came up, that was so they could justify their shots. And the shots is what's killing everybody.
Yeah, so these biosensors, when we look at them, everything was planned, of course, a long time ago. These technologies will operate within our own biology and change how we interface with the world. It's called smart dust. Smart dust is graphene based nanotechnology. Arrays of full computers with antennas, each much smaller than a grain of sand, can now organize themselves inside your body. This is what I'm finding inside people's bodies. And they call it the 4th generation. And if we look at this technology, this is a higher magnification, but this is what I found. This is in live blood. You can see disease X. Disease X is the nanotechnology that's being used to impregnate into the body fluids through inoculation, through food, water, or through aerosoling, through air. And this is what it looks like. This is a live sample of it. I'll just show you this. Most people have never seen this live, but these are biochips inside the blood of a human. And you'll notice its characteristics. I call it dis-ease X.
Yeah, you can see the little X.
See the X?
Yeah.
You ever seen it again? From the shadows, you can see the microscope. We're just flipping from dark field to phase contrast. From bright field, we're using 3 different modalities.
Wow.
So you can see this. And we're finding this in the saliva. So this we're finding in the body fluid, saliva, urine, blood. We're finding these biochips. There's disease X.
And this MasterPeace is cleansing of these things.
Well, I showed you the results of it. See, yeah, these are the things when I published my peer-reviewed journal article on the non-disclosed ingredients in the inoculations and what I'm finding, not just in the inoculations, but finding in the blood. I'm happy to provide a free copy of this so you can actually read it for yourself and see some of the smart dust, the graphene threads, self-assembled graphene threads, and the biochips that are contained within this. And I have videos after videos, even the Trypanosoma cruzi parasites. And I've identified these also using directed energy X-ray spectroscopy. So I've identified, and this one you can see the base of the parasite that's actually a carrier of what? Graphene oxide. So ticks, mosquitoes, and malaria-type parasites, Trypanosoma cruzi parasites, are delivering graphene oxide-based material throughout the entire body. And the freeway they're using is the organ called the interstitium, and the fluids that surround every body cell, the fluids of the interstitial fluid or the body ocean. Wow. So we can see pictures at the blood level, and this is what we're looking at. So, you know, the technology here, as it relates to a wireless body, it's called wideband, the Wireless Body Area Network of Healthcare. Without our knowledge, without our permission, we are all being biochipped with this technology. This was one review, one publication. And of course, graphene successfully interface with neurons in our brains, so it can literally overtake not just our physicality, but also our neurological activity. And here's another for biosensors on the design of thermal aware duty cycle MAC patrol for IoT healthcare, meaning here again, this is you're being set up, being given an IP address that's associated, or a MAC address associated to you personally. And so you're being hooked up to the IoT, which is an acronym for the Internet of Things. And all this information that comes back off these biochips can read your nervous system, cardiovascular system, digestive system, you know, the biophysical aspects, environmental, biochemical. They can use this not only to transmit from your body to the cloud, to their computers, information about your physicality and your chemistry, but they can also transmit treatments. So yeah, this is just some of the. So what's happening here is, you know, like the unexpected frog being boiled to death. You know, he thinks he's taking a bath, and he's literally being cooked. And that's what's happening to human beings. That's why we're seeing the increase in excess mortality. Yes. This is what blood should look like, free of any particulates. And you've heard me say this before: you are what you eat, what you drink, what you breathe, what you think, what you feel, and what you believe. In other words, how you live or how you die. Death is actually a choice. And so if you get these poisons out of your body, you can extend the quality and the quantity of your life. It's just some of my microscopy, and I showed you some of the reports on this. Here's the summation of this on graphene oxide with each subject. Just so you know, all this testing was third-party testing done by a licensed lab. And so we can see, you know, in graphene and FOS 331 to 239 to 140, FOA 442, 14 to 177, polyethylene glycol 223 to 18, jumped up again. Here again is constant exposure. And then polypropylene 235, 126, and 188. Even those may be in the normal range, the ideal number is 0. This was the summary of that. With the graphene oxide on subject 2, subject 3. So this is just a summation of that particular study. So when we're looking at a condition of autism, where we're seeing 1986 national childhood vaccine activity, 1 in 2,500. 1970 was 1 in 10,000, 1 in 2,500. What's happening?
Yeah,
Systemic poisoning. It's increasing. And it's increasing with the introduction of a transfection instrument, and that's the inoculation. There is no healthy inoculation.
No.
None. Doesn't exist. And so you're not sick, you're being poisoned. This is just a little videotape. I don't know if you can hear it or not.
No.
Okay, but you can find that on my website. If you want to go there, you can find it at on Rumble. I think I just let me go back in and share. But you asked about specific products. I mentioned MasterPeace. I mentioned the Terra Firma pH Miracle Terra Firma clay. Let me just go back and grab that again, okay? So we can.
Yeah, I remember in the beginning for this book you helped me with, Convid 1984. We had everything but the MasterPeace. So we had the French green clay, we had the NAC, the glutathione, the red pine needle oil, and always baking soda or the four salts.
Yeah, well, the pine needle oil helps to break down the protective coating of the parasite and dissolve that, so it takes them out. And of course, improved circulation is the L-arginine max, because there's really 4 objectives. One is to open up the channels of elimination. So you do that with pH Miracle. It's called Flush, PHLUSH, Flush. So yeah, just the whole alimentary canal is to break up undigested matter in the 9 yards of the intestine. The second part is to hyperperfuse alkalinity into the body fluids. That's the 4 salts, the pH Miracle 4 salts. The third is to improve circulation. That's the L-arginine max. The fourth is to build healthy blood, and that's the Innerlight Super Greens. That's the Innerlight, or the Innerlight Prime pH. That's the pH Miracle Purify. These are drops you put in the water with the Super Greens, and then you add a scoop of pure chlorophyll, and you drink that several times a day. And so that's what's going to improve the quality of the blood, but also the quantities. So red blood counts will go up, hemoglobin counts will go up, but the quality and the construct of the cells will go up too. In addition, people need to know that the cell membrane is made is a bilipid membrane, so you need unsaturated oils like hemp oil, like flax oil, like borage oil, and we've put them into what is called the omega-3, 6, and 9 formulation, and you take 3 teaspoons of that a day, and this helps to provide the oils necessary to make the membranes of stem cells. So there's no need for stem cell transplantation. You can make your own stem cells, but you have to provide an environment that's conducive for that. Or you'll have to keep going back and going back and going back and having more stem cells. You need to make your own stem cells. And you make that with what I outlined in chapter 5 of the pH Miracle Revised and Updated book. And chapter 5 of that book, let's see if I can go back to this file again. And I'll just show you, some additional information on this. Let me just get it in position here so we can talk about it as part of this presentation. I can show you some pictures. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now again. And we'll go ahead and from the current slide. Okay, so here's the solution to the pollutions. Open up the channels of elimination, improve circulation, build healthy blood cells with green foods, saturate alkalinity with salts, so flavor salts and pH miracle salts, which is the sodium and potassium and magnesium bicarbonate forms, chelate toxic metals and forever chemicals, and eliminate body parasites. And these are the products: flush for cleaning out the undigested matter, super greens for building blood, 4 salts for hyperperfusing alkalinity, and L-arginine for circulation. And all of this has published research articles. Purpose of L-arginine in combination with L-ornithine and L-citrulline produces nitric oxide, which is a soluble gas that's continually made from arginine from the endothelial cells, the cells that line the walls of our blood vessels. So endothelial cells comprise of a layer of cells inside the lining of our blood vessels. This helps improve circulation. When you're improving circulation, you improve percolation, improve your energy. Things flow better. Elimination is better. The F factor, this is a nanocolloidal of a cofactor. It's found naturally in the body, heart, the liver, kidney, and pancreas. It generates energy for the cells. Okay, in the form of an antioxidant, adenosine triphosphate, ATP, which is involved in the cell energy transfer. It serves as an antioxidant to protect cells against oxidative stress or acids. Another word for oxidative is acidifying, and protects against what? Chemical and radiation poisoning, against forever chemicals, polyethylene glycol and hydrogel that is being used in nutraceuticals and pharmaceuticals, as well as cosmetics. You'll see hydrogel just about in everything. This is a poison. It's synthetic. You don't want it on your face. You don't want it in your body. Heavy metals like lead, mercury, cadmium, graphene oxide, ferric oxide, aluminum oxide, titanium dioxide. So this is taken under the tongue in drops, just a few drops, 3 to 5 drops, 2 or 3 times a day. The beauty of this, it's all transdermal. So immediately goes into the body ocean and then is circulated in this big ocean. And within minutes, it's been through every organ and every gland, and it begins to what? Attract electromagnetic, because this is a negatively charged material. That's its zeta potential. And then you have the cementite montmorillonite clay from the French village of Montmorillon, has a powerful biological aspect to transfer all kinds of matter, including bacteria, yeast, and mold, is at the forefront of new and exciting research into old age, nearly forgotten, but surprisingly potent natural remedies. This is natural. It comes from the earth. It's a special clay. It's a categories in the cementite clays, montmorillonite. It's 90 to 95% montmorillonite and only 5 to 10% bentonite. The difference is it's highly electrical. Therefore, it can adsorb and absorb and attract nanoparticulates, microparticulates to its surface, and then take it into its body, demagnetize it, connect, demagnetize, and make the material inert.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the IG's pine needle oil is cleansing, is activated the red pine needle oil combined with Haas avocado seed oil It's one of the few cleansers capable of penetrating the blood-brain barrier, thus helping to rid the blood-brain of biosensors, graphene oxide, parasites, et cetera, et cetera. And that's an iJuice product that you can find at phmiracleproducts.com.
Right. What I love about this is that
Yes.
before I met you, and my only connection to this world was Dr. Bernardo. Now, he was just a regular ND from Mexico that knew what to tell people to do. And it's ironic because he would send everybody to get the supplements from all over the place because he couldn't make them himself. But he knew what they needed to take. And it's very similar to ones you have. But the good news is you've actually created these yourself. You've made them yourself. You're the
Yeah, I'm the
designer.
master formulator of all this, and and having the knowledge and the expertise to look at this, not just through compound microscopy, but also through directed energy X-ray spectroscopy, and also through STEM scanning and transmission electron microscopy. So these are the tools that I have, as well as doing ultrasounds, non-invasive blood testing and things we've been able to come up with ways to help people without pulling out any materials. And of course, this is the latest and the greatest. So we have water everywhere, but there's not a drop to drink. I mentioned deuterium, which has polluted all of our waters to a lesser or greater degree. And, I've identified over 600 chemicals. We're testing right now 27 of those that are very harsh, very hard on the cell membranes of our cells. And when we look at this, we've tracked 220 million pounds of 650 industrial chemicals have been discharged into our rivers and streams on an annual basis. So I wanted to develop a water system based on the technology of plasma activation. And of course, it's an electrical machine, but this is a non-electric. So I have to create the same sort of activity by breaking up the molecular clustering that's caused by these poisons, filtrate out the poisons, and then structure the water into a monoatomic state, so it's wetter water. That way you can really hydrate the cells. This way it becomes something that is going to be interacting with the poisons and flushing those out. And so if we're dealing with arsenic, sodium arsenic, pharmaceuticals, radium, aluminum, fluoride, mercury, heavy metals, lead, and I've mentioned, of course, graphene, deuterium, phos, and PFOS and PFOA, as well as PP and PE, polyethylene glycol hydrogel, etc. The list is very, very long. We know that having the right kind of water and maintaining the alkaline design of that water when it's being put into the body needs to be at least 9.5 to 10 at negative 250 millivolts to really begin a good detox. This is the kind, so I developed a water system to do that would not only take care of filtration, but also alkalization, ionization, and then functionally structuring that water into the right form so it will hydrate. It'll pass through the barriers, the restricted barriers, across the blood-brain barrier, across the reproductive barriers, etc. It's called the pH Miracle Watermark. And the nice thing, the first machine that I made was like 20 by 10 by 20, this PAM machine, and plasma activated machine that that would produce a functionally structured alkaline water. The funding that we received cost $1,000, $100,000. We built 2 of them. But here again, it would handle like 5,000 gallons. So we were using it, for testing. We tested 300 cows, milking cows. They would drink nothing but PAM water. And from that, they actually doubled their milk production and were totally off any sort of medications. So no inflammation of their udders, increased production of milk, and no antibiotics necessary. These
Wow,
cows
yeah.
were healthy
A lot of people don't know this.
just by drinking a functionally structured alkaline ionized filtered water that did not contain the poisons and chemicals that are in and coming from our rivers and streams, our wells, our oceans, our rainwater. It's all polluted. And so this is why I developed it. It's affordable too.
Yeah, and you're one of, people don't know this, but you're like the OG. You're one of the oldest water machine creators around, right? Didn't you start with one of the first companies?
Well, I introduced alkalinity, to the world in the 80s and the early 90s.
Yeah,
And, that's why you're seeing pH water, from
today.
Essentia or these other water companies. Uh, so yes, absolutely. So this is what we're doing. I'll take this off here. So I mentioned the pH strips. They're inexpensive. It's a easy, simple way to manage and maintain your health. Keep your pH up. If you want to spend more money, get an electron meter, but they're $700-800 and more.
If somebody
They
wants
can.
to know if they have cancer or not, can they not just measure their pH and
Well,
find out what
cancer
it
is
is?
a symptom. It's not a disease. If they want to know if they're in a cancerous condition, they can do their regular blood tests. But simply, if you're managing and maintaining the alkaline design of the body fluids, there's no way you're going to create cancerous cells. A
Right.
cancer cell is just a rotting, fermenting cell that's been damaged by its environment.
So if you have a pH of 8.4, there's no way
This
you have breast cancer, right?
Well, there's always a way because we're constantly being bombarded. As you see that even though we're being poisoned by our food, our water, our air, and we can see that this is everywhere. It's in our urine, it's in our hair, it's in our skin. You have to detox from this, and you have to do it on a daily basis. And you have to be actively engaged in your health by testing. And exercise is a very, very important part of the COWS program. So the COWS program is an acronym that stands for chlorophyll, clay, oil, oxygen. W is water. We covered that. And then the S is sunshine, salt, and sexercise. So these are the main 7 doctors that you incorporate into your life. And if you do that, what are the measurable results? We've quantified this. We don't think it works. We know it works. You're healthier
Right.
and happier.
So why
It
take a
reduces.
mammogram if you're following this?
Well,
Right?
you can do. I wouldn't do a mammogram. I would, personally. I mean, I always suggest something non-invasive, and that would be a ultrasound,
Ultrasound.
and that's a test of anatomy. Or you could do thermography, which is a test of the physiology. I can show you what that looks like if we go back up here really quick. I can show you what this looks like. That's coming. I think it's coming. There it is. So here's a copy of a woman with breast cancer detection using thermography and ultrasound. Here you can see the size of the tumor of the mass. Here you see it, as a colored heat transfer. I mean, you're seeing the heat of that tumor it's putting off is very red. It's highly vascular, and then in ultrasound, the structures you can actually see the veins and the blood, the arteries and the veins, the capillaries going into the breast, and this is the size of the tumor. Okay, well here you see the size here, and then after we would follow this up this is in 3/6/26/2012, you see the reduction of that heat element coming off from the tumor to where it's nothing. So it went from 14.2 centimeters down to less than 1 to 1.5 centimeters. And that's all within a matter of what? 8 to 12 weeks.
And she did the pH miracle.
That's correct. Yeah. No surgery.
Now, when
no chemo, no radiation.
right.
And see, what you do is if you want to survive a diagnosis of a cancerous condition, you have to restore the alkaline design of the body fluids. You have to open the channels of elimination. You have to hyperperfuse alkalinity. You have to improve circulation, and you have to start building healthy blood. And you do that simultaneously. And then you'll see the results of that. So when we go back then to the product that we use, reduce the acids that cause all disease, including any cancerous condition, because cancer is caused by acids, by poisons. This drastically increases your life expectancy, improves the growth and health of plant life, so it increases your oxygen level. Substantial health benefits for animals. So it's not just for you, it's for your cat, it's for your dog. Do you want to see their life double? Rather than 10 to 15 years, how about 30 to 60 years?
Are they able to get alkaline too?
Absolutely.
And
their fluids, their blood needs to be alkaline as well. Increase electrical energy, cellular conductivity. And this is the website that you go to, phmiracleproducts.com. So these are just some of my references here. Some of the books I've written: the pH Miracle for Cancer, the pH Miracle for Diabetes, pH Miracle. These sold over 10 million books. Our latest book, The Breach, Let Freedom Ring, based on the sounds of freedom. You probably remember that. Liberating the Captives. This is child trafficking. To Truth versus Deception, our two books here, part 1 and part 2, which is the deception, which is this fake virus theory. There are no viruses. Viruses do not cause disease. What there is, you're not sick, you haven't caught something, you've actually been poisoned. Maintain the alkaline design of the body fluids on a daily basis. This is how you preserve life. So these books are available through phmiracleproducts.com, and also these books are available on Amazon.com. Here's some of my links. You'll see my scientific blog, YouTube videos, Rumble videos, BitChute videos, Odyssey videos, Brighton videos, pH Miracle Retreats at phmiracleretreat.com, world premiere documentary on Thrive 2, getting more into the research, books by Dr. Robert Young, where you can find those, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're trying to educate. And guess what? It's all free, this information. There's no charge for it. You don't have to pay a monthly fee. I received it. I've done 90+% of the work. I want people to have the benefits of that so we can have a better place to live, not only for ourselves, but specifically for our children.
Yes. Yep. Well, as I refer to you whenever I speak to others about you, he's the king of the medical system. Anyway, the kind of medical system we should have. And thank you for all your.
We shouldn't have a medical system. It's not about medicine. It's about health. Is all about managing and maintaining the alkaline design of the body fluids. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Right.
All you have to do is manage the poisons that are coming in through air, water, and food. And animals do that in the wild. They have a salt lick, they have a clay lake, and they eat it daily. And so, it's important that you start getting on whole salts, not processed salts. And I didn't show the picture, but flavor salts, you just spray it in your mouth. And
Right.
as far as this thing right here, this is the Masterpiece. All you do is, that's it. Do it twice a day.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Let the pH miracles happen. And what's a pH miracle? pH miracles is understanding the cause and effect relationship. Cause and effect relationship. So once you understand the cancer, diabetes, MS, HIV, AIDS, these are not diseases. These are symptoms of chemical and radiation poisoning. That's it, folks. Once you maintain the alkaline design of the body fluids, no more symptoms, no more sickness, disease, no more, fatigue and tiredness. All that can transfer. It's very simple. When I was in Italy, in Florence, I bought this. When the fish is sick, what do? See that little fish in there? Maybe it shows up better on this one. See the fish?
Yeah.
When the fish are sick, what do? Do you change the water or do you treat the fish? I suggest you seriously you consider changing and managing and maintaining the alkaline design of the body fluids, because fish at a pH at 8 in the ocean, they die. Fish need an alkaline environment. Body cells need an alkaline environment. If anyone tells you that the body does this by itself, no, it needs your help. And the reason it needs your help is because you need to manage and maintain the alkaline design. Your doctor won't do it. You have to do it. And take responsibility, and if you'll start implementing what I'm suggesting, and if you want more information, get the pH Miracle Revised and Updated book, read chapter 5, read chapter 11, and learn how to maintain the alkaline design of the body fluids using the COWS program and the 7 doctors that I mentioned. And if you'll do that, if you'll email me, if you go to my website, I only have one website, drrobertyoung.com. I will send you a copy of this. It's called COWS. Okay, and it has on the back of it has foods you should eliminate, foods you can eat freely, and foods that you should, just eat sparingly. It's a little card. I'll send that in a letter, and with that, I'll put my Harvard lecture in there at no charge. I'll put also 60 articles that I believe will open your eyes to, how to manage and maintain good health and vitality.
Yeah. And to my people out there, when you go to phmiracleproducts.com, do me a favor, throw a slash in there, a question mark, type in AFF equals 21. I am an affiliate. I'm helping move some of these products because I believe in them more than anything. So remember to add that. And I think that's about it for today, right?
Yeah. Well, when you post this, make sure that they have that link, okay?
Yeah, I definitely will. And thank you. I'm going to put some of this in my next book that should be coming out soon called Aging Holistically. I'm 50, almost 56 now, and I'm in better shape than I was when I was a pro fighter in my younger years, I think, because I'm still like a rubber band. I'm like a young man because I'm alkaline. So
that's right.
I want to
You
share
still
that.
have your flexibility. Yeah.
Yeah, still quick, and that L-arginine is really good for the the circulation, we call it. And so I'm
circulation to your extremities,
yeah,
your appendages.
yeah, working well.
All
right,
right,
Robert,
it's good to
been a
see you
pleasure
again.
You too.
Take care. Look forward to seeing you again and hearing your great progress.
Right on. I'll come down and visit you soon.
Take your Masterpiece.
I will.
All right. All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye.